system for the qualifying format works. As we have the race start, the race gets underway and drivers from the back of the grid have not got going properly. There is contact at the back of the grid, but Denan Abesekra leads the way at the front, and there is contact with Angelo Senaratna, and I believe that might have been Fawzul Alim midway through the pack, but the other drivers have got through safe. There is a side-by-side battle between Nimesh Dean and Denan Abesekra. Yvonne David trying to find his way through. He's trying to make it 3 wide, but he thinks wiser off it. Down the inside goes Yvonne David, and he's going to make it a double overtake through the sharp right-hander onto the long back straight. Now it's a slipstream battle for the cars behind. Brian Pereira and Denan Abesekra will take advantage of this slipstream. Will Brian Pereira go down the inside of Yvonne? No, Yvonne David goes down the inside into the hairpin after the long straight, and it's Yvonne David who leads the way at Okayama, followed by Nimesh Dean. Denan Abesekra slots in into third ahead of Brian Pereira. Brian Pereira now under severe pressure from Shyama Mendes in 5th, followed by Tehaneranga in 6th. Fawzul Alim getting overtaken by Tehaneranga into the hairpin. Fawzul might be suffering from damage after contact with Angelo Senaratna at the start, and it looks like Savi Ratnayaka has also been caught up in that entire incident on the start line.
Crazy to see everyone filter in, but we had some brilliant racing again at the head of the field. Yvonne David putting all that real-world experience into competing in this iRacing Championship, as we see Brian Pereira going down the inside of Denan Abesekra.
And Denan has to watch out for Shyama Mendes behind. He got sent somewhat wide by Brian Pereira's clean dive down the inside, as Shyama Mendes makes a move on Denan. Doesn't make it work, but Fawzul Alim making a move into 6th ahead of Tehaneranga. Shyama Mendes still looking down the inside of Denan Abesekra. Denan started on pole, but he has just been swallowed up by the grid on this opening lap. Shyama Mendes, will he go down the inside? No, he thinks better of it. Basically just not worrying about your tires, not worrying about any sort of fuel which you might need to conserve. It's all about just putting pedal to the metal as you see Shyama Mendes going down the inside of Denan Abesekra. Denan smartly thinking better of it. He comes back at Shyama through the second long left-hander. They go side by side with Shyama Mendes making a switchback move on Denan. They are still side by side, and Fawzul Alim, as was the case with Yvonne David, is going to try and join this battle, as there seems to be an incident between Nimesh and Brian, if I'm not mistaken, unless that was the original positions between those two, as we stay focused with this battle between the three-way battle between oh, there's contact! There is significant contact between Shyama and Denan, and that is big contact. Denan is out in a major way, and there's more contact. There is more contact.
Being sent spinning off by, I think that was
Tehaneranga.
Was that Gavin Rajapaksa?
No, that was Tehaneranga. As we'll ride on board now with
2 corners, we've
had quite a few incidents, and that wasn't even at a corner.
So many incidents.
It wasn't even in a corner, Sam. I believe Shyama Mendes and Denan Abesekra just made contact on the straight, as I think Shyama Mendes just misjudged his closing speed on Denan and clipped the back of Denan in a straight line.
Yes, indeed, quite an eventful few laps, but it's ensuring that Yvonne David stays in the lead.
But Nimesh Dean, Sam, Nimesh Dean is still on his tail and introducing Shyama Mendes to this battle. The incident between Shyama and Denan will be under investigation. However, there is, as is the case with a sprint race, he will potentially get, correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, but these sprint race incidents will potentially result in feature race penalties. Am I correct when I say that, Sam?
I believe that's possible. If there's an in-game penalty, especially if there's no in-game penalty, then the stewards might not have time to reassign the grid positions for
no,
the
they do
second
not.
race.
They most certainly do not, Sam.
Yeah,
Sam, one thing I want to point out, amidst this 3-car battle with Shyama Mendes now making a move on Nimesh Dean, is Yvonne David has set a fastest lap of the race, which matches the pole position lap time
and we have
from qualifying.
We have Angelo
Senaratna. Oh, things are getting very close.
Straight out. Angelo Senaratna obviously pitting because of damage and coming straight out into the path of the battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Managed to keep it out, but that was very close. But it's really upset.
Oh, there's contact!
Brian, and he gets
There is
tapped.
significant
Brian gets
contact!
tapped, and he's off. He's off with Nimesh Dean.
Significant
Both
contact,
cars
Sam.
going straight into the gravel. Brian is not going to be happy about that. He was.
Kavin, though, doing a very good job at defending. He's defending very clean. No double movements. He's not been moving on the braking. It's been measured defense from Kavin Rajapaksa, as you see him hugging the inside. But as I say that, we do witness some weaving. That is double moves, and there might be contact into turn 1. There was a double move.
Yeah, there was some contact there, and it was a bit of a late.
And there's more contact! There is more contact, which has ruined the races of both drivers.
Kavin drops it on the exit. Nimesh Dean manages to keep it, or was that Nimesh Dean or was Shane Weirkun?
It's Nimesh. It's actually Denan Abesekara. My mistake. It has been Denan Abesekara, who was trying to unlap himself ahead of Kavin Rajapaksa. This is all very, very. Oh, and as we change our camera over to Shane Weirkun making a mistake. Again, the cameraman's curse seems to be returning.
He is on his final lap.
There is a big incident there which he had to avoid. I saw gravel kicked up there, and I was wondering, what was that from Yvonne David, or was that a car in front? And it was in fact, I believe, was it Niroshishan? I believe it was the Ferrari-inspired livery of Niroshishan. But Sam, here around the final couple corners, Yvonne David, it is his bread and butter. It is just a sprint race, but he has laid down the gauntlet and has laid down a marker for the other drivers to catch. Out of the final corner, Yvonne David wins the first sprint race of the weekend. He weaves across the line and wins by a margin. Yvonne David wins the first sprint at Okayama. Shemal Mendes, although there were incidents, he comes home in P2. Tehanaranga, incident prone once again, but he does manage to cross the line on the podium in the first sprint. 5 red lights in the consolation race. The second 15-minute sprint. It's lights out and away we go. And it's a bit of a poor start from Angelo Senaratna, as Fawzul immediately getting the jump on him. Into the lead of the race goes Fawzul Alim. We ride further back to see the rest of the grid. It's a lot more cleaner this time around. Everybody being a little bit more sensible. Yvonne David going around the outside from P8 on the grid. Yvonne David has found his way all the way up into P4. He's lost no time from this reverse grid start. And Sam, the grid has actually kept things fairly clean on this second start. I believe the drivers, potentially from the driver room, scolding one another, has left a mark on the racing standards up at the front. But here we go. Nimesh Dean down the inside of Fawzul Alim. Nimesh Dean going down the inside. Can he outbrake Fawzul? No. There's a lockup from Fawzul as he runs wide. As Fawzul onto the grass, Nimesh Dean will take the place, with Brian Pereira now having a look at Fawzul Alim. Yvonne David on the back of Brian Pereira, heading into this other short straight, into a heavy braking hairpin. Will there be any moves? Brian Pereira goes defensive on Yvonne David. Yvonne, will he try to hang it around the outside? No way. He goes down the inside. Yvonne David with a clean block pass down the inside into P3. 5 positions gained on this opening lap from the real-world F4 racing superstar. And now he's on the back of Fawzul Alim.
Wow, brilliant racing by Yvonne David, and some great racing room, great awareness being shown by Brian Pereira as well. As we see Yvonne go down the inside, locking up, but manages to keep it on the track. Fawzul Alim manages to keep it in front, and I don't know if you're a sim racer and you know you have Yvonne David, a real-life Formula 4 driver behind you, it's got to be piling on the pressure right now, as again we see the 2 cars going side by side, and Yvonne David just manages to get his
there's contact!
I think Brian Pereira goes straight into the side of Fawzul
There's more
Alim.
contact!
That's going to be very tasty.
Brian Pereira has collected Nirosh Yeshan in the process. Sam, would you be able to essentially go into the driver's room?
Immediately, yes. Brian Pereira immediately putting his hands up and saying, sorry, I don't know what happened with the blue car. So Brian Pereira looks like he's down in 10th, and that his race ruined, and Nimeshdin's race ruined as well. For that
it was Nirosh Yeshan's blue Ferrari-inspired livery, as Nimeshdin is currently leading the way, ahead of Yevan David. Here we go, Sam. We have another move from Xiaoman Mendes down the inside. Fawzul Alim in the slipstream. He potentially has rear-wing damage from Brian Pereira hitting him up the rear. It's not stopping him though, as he goes down the inside, which will turn into the outside line for this long swooping left-hander heading into the short straight. Will he be able to hold up against Shane Darren? I believe Fawzul has that move completed, but let's ride to the front. Here we have a spin! We have a spin from Tehane Ranga. I saw the gap decreasing between Denon and Tehan. Oh, that's unfortunate. Just any, as you said, Sam, not just any sim racing driver, not just any Savi Ratnayaka, not just any Fawzul Alim, it is Yevan David behind him. Yevan
gets a much better exit from the last corner. He's pushing. He's almost pushing that car ahead. He takes the wider line. He wants to go around the outside of Nimeshdin. He wants to switch back. He takes a wide line and he cuts it. Will he be able to? But no, Nimeshdin has the tight line for the second corner, but the car is
around the outside.
Now we've seen some. Now we go down to turn 3 and 4. He has the inside line. Yes, he's alongside.
Oh, and Nimeshdin onto the grass. But Nimeshdin with the switchback on Yevan David.
Nimeshdin gets the switchback on Yevan David. Does he have the power to keep it alongside Yevan David? Because if he does, he has the inside line for the next corner. The car cuts across to defend that line very early, forcing him to go the long way around. Nimeshdin having to go the long way around, and I have to say, all those years of experience in karting and for formulas being put to good use there by Yevan David, just positioning the car so well on track. As we have third place, Denon Abiseka going right off the track and hitting the wall. That's going to really cripple his car. And yes, he's got damage. No, that was Kavin Rajapaksa, I think, was it?
It was Kavin Rajapaksa, Sam. But here we have a 5-car battle. Fawzul Alim trying to get past Shane Wirakun. I feel that Fawzul's patience is just wearing out as he locks up. He's got the fast-paced Savi Ratnayaka once again caught up in the chaos of the first couple laps, but Savi Ratnayaka is now on the back of Fawzul, who is trying his darnest to get past Shane Wirakun, who goes right to the inside. But as we've seen between the battles of Nimesh and Yevan David, Fawzul will ideally try to switch back this. As we see, yes, Fawzul switchbacking. He's just a little bit too far away to hold it around the outside this time around. Will he switch back again? No. Once again, Shane doing a very good job at defending the switchbacks from Fawzul Alim, but it's not over yet. Fawzul, will he try to make a dive down the inside into this hairpin before the long back straight? He doesn't. But Savi Ratnayaka and Tehane Ranga are both right behind Fawzul. Savi's got a wonderful run on Fawzul. This could be a 3-wide move here, as Fawzul's trying to both attack and defend Savi now. Savi down the inside. There is contact between Fawzul and Savi, and Fawzul locks up as a result. Savi down the inside. Fawzul holding it around the outside. There's big contact. There is massive contact between the championship rivals. Fawzul and Savi both going off.
To see both cars there really fighting it out, but that looked a bit that could have been avoided, and Savi Ratnayaka's lost his rear wing. Of course, no love lost, because there was an incident yesterday in the ACC between these two drivers as well. It's opened the door for Tehane Ranga, who has managed to make it up into 6th place. But yeah, that's very disappointing to see, because both drivers looking to get that last podium spot in this consolation race, and they're not too far away from first and second either. So let's see what happens now in this 15-minute race, as that we have 7 minutes left in. Xiaoman Mendes gets a tighter exit, both McLaren-inspired liveries from very different eras, as he tries to get the slipstream from Denon Abiseka. He moves to the inside line. Is he late on the brakes? Yes, but there's a lockup. There's a lockup from Denon Abiseka, and Xiaoman Mendes is hanging it around the outside. Will he be able to make it? Yes, he's a car length ahead, and he manages to make it up into 3rd place. Now you start to feel that fatigue, and now we're following Brian Pereira with
Kavin Kavin Rajapaksa. Oh, these two. Although they're fighting for P10, Sam, these are the battles we enjoy to see. Kavin, the youngster, only 14 years of age, holding off the experienced Brian Pereira. And it must be said, Brian looks like he's getting a little bit flustered behind the rear wing of the youngster, Kavin Rajapaksa. Kavin involved in some incidents today, as was the case with Brian Pereira as well. But at the moment, he is managing to keep the former F4 racing driver behind him. But as we head on to the main straight...
Kavin with everything to prove, and with Brian with nothing to lose right now, fighting for 10th. So it's going to be interesting to see how these two drivers approach it. Brian goes to the outside, looks to get a better line for the exit, and tries to again cut back. But Kavin is defending very well. He's managing to put that car just where it is. Don't know whether Brian has some damage from those earlier incidents. The car, the aero looks intact at least.
I think
the wings
he might
and all
have
still attached to the car, but
he might have made a pit stop.
Right. He might have made a pit stop.
As
Kavin goes very wide. Kavin goes very wide. Brian Pereira manages to take the inside line. But you know what? Kavin still seems to have a bit of an advantage on the straights. I don't know whether that car still has damage from Brian.
Very close.
And they're getting very close, too close for comfort there. Kavin sensibly lets Brian through, I think, not challenging him too much, just getting a little bit close just to see if he can fluster the experienced Brian Pereira, but no, not quite. Brian Pereira is now comfortably ahead.
But we will ride on board with Yvonne David as he rounds the final few corners. It is a perfect start to the weekend for Yvonne at the moment. He wasn't on pole in qualifying, but he is translating that late pace into a second consecutive sprint race win here at Okayama. Yvonne David wins the second sprint ahead of Nimesh Dean. Nimesh Dean just holds off Shamal Mendes.
Very close at the line.
And Dena Nabesekra finishes off in P4. We go to 5 red lights here at Okayama, and it's lights out, and away we go. It is a good start, a good launch from Yvonne David. He just about covers off Nimesh Dean into turn 1. No need for a defensive move from Yvonne David, but further back, is there contact? There is contact, as is usually the case, and that is the rear wing of Fawzul Alim completely detached from his car. It is a disaster for the championship contender. Was that Brian Pereira involved with the incident, or has Brian Pereira just taken extra precautions to stay out of trouble? I believe there is front wing damage for Brian Pereira. Sam, please do let me know shortly if there is any talk on the driver's voice chat of any damage. But for now, let's ride on board at the front of the grid. We have Nimesh Dean staying ahead of Shyama Mendes, staying ahead of Denan Abesekra, who goes down the inside. There's lockups everywhere. But so far, aside from that first corner incident, it seems like everyone has just about managed to keep things clean.
Angelo Sanarate once again getting very active behind the rear wing of Shane Witherspoon. Will he go for a lunge? I'm not quite sure if he's close enough, and in front also we have another very close battle for second.
We have battles everywhere on track at the moment, Sam, but he goes down the inside. Angelo will have the outside line for this next corner. Wide. He has two options: hang it around the outside, or maybe just get a more shallow switchback line to prepare himself for this.
If he hangs it around the outside, he usually will be able to get the benefit of the inside for the next corner.
Oh, he dives it down the inside!
He dives inside. He takes a much tighter line. He's going to be hindered on exit by doing so. And look at who's in the background. Hanaranga is just there. He's just there, ready, and very wisely, Angelo slots back in behind to try to get the slipstream, covers off any risk of an overtake from Tehanaranga, takes a very tight line again, but not quite out on the inside. But every time he takes that tighter line,
we just cut away from
the outside.
We just cut away at the wrong moment, as Angelo seems to have potentially made sideways contact, but he makes the move stick. And look at Kavin Rajapaksa in the background. Kavin must be waiting in the wings, just waiting to see if there's any sort of contact here between these drivers. So far, there has been maybe slight contact between Brian. Oh, sorry, not between Brian. Oh, and is that a pit stop?
Tehanaranga goes. Yes, Tehanaranga goes into the pits. Looks like he might have some damage already.
Sam, do you think that pit stop was long enough to repair damage? I could be completely wrong here, but I don't know exactly how long a damage reparation pit stop can be. Oh, and there is he goes round there goes any form of potential strategy Tehaneranga could have maybe employed in this race, as just taking his own time is Denon trying to secure a late race charge with fresher tires and more fuel to play with. Oh no, and he's gone wide! Just as we've said it. Can he save it? No! He's spun around! Once again, it is another commentator's curse. And very safely getting back on the track, but he's got in the way! Oh. He is getting in the way, but he has slowed down Shane. Would that be worthy of a penalty? It would be up to the stewards to decide, as he did come back onto the track. He waited for Angelo to pass, but he might have been blindsided by Shane Darren coming up behind him. However, we have Shane.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
We have a move down the main straight, Sam. Oh, that is a bit naughty from Nimesh Dean. He's moving under braking, and there is a lockup, but Shyama Mendes muscles his way through with a block pass ahead of Nimesh Dean. Will Nimesh Dean fight back? Very clean racing here between the two. Nimesh Dean will hold it on the inside. Don't make contact, boys, because the contact system on this game is such that any form of tire locking could result in a big collision, as there is contact, but it's just a little bit of a budge out of the way. That could be down to hard racing, Sam. Maybe not worthy of a penalty, but the stewards will take a look at it as Nimesh Dean muscles his way past Shyama Mendes. Did he just give the place back to Shyama? It looks like he's just given the place back to Shyama. So good sportsmanship there. It looked like hard racing on the broadcast camera, but maybe from the driver's eyes, it does look very different through the camera lens on a broadcast system.
Like I said at the beginning of the race, sometimes if you start a little bit further back, and as we...
they are a lot closer this lap, Sam. They are a lot closer.
They're a lot closer. Nimesh Dean once again, very, very tight driving, very aggressive driving. Nimesh Dean taking much tighter exit. Will that enable him to put the power down?
There is nothing between
side
them.
By side. He has the inside. Yes, Nimesh Dean has the inside line, and he's just a little bit ahead. He's going to force Shyama Mendes to the outside, and he makes the move stick. Will he be able to hold it? Yes, he does. He holds it on the next few corners. Very, very clean racing between these two drivers.
Some brilliant racing.
To see.
This is some brilliant racing between the two. This is the kind of racing we want to see in this F4 championship. We had one moment with them being incredibly hard on each other, but again, good sportsmanship between the two. And once again, they've kept it clean, battling through multiple straights, multiple corners, but the battle is far from over. We have... Am I right when I say I believe Angelo Sinaratne has had a moment? Angelo Sinaratne has had a moment.
Yeah, he's completely gone, and he's getting he's going to get passed for 9th or 10th. I don't know what's happened.
Seem to have missed that.
Battling with Savi Ratnayaka.
And now we have Kavin Rajapaksa coming under pressure from Fawzul Alim. I told you the gaggle of pro drivers at the back of the grid were bound to catch up with the midfield pack, as Fawzul Alim is now making a move on Kavin Rajapaksa. He has to play this safe, as the young, somewhat inexperienced Kavin Rajapaksa, albeit with his good defensive moves he's essentially showed this weekend, anything can happen at the wheel of these sim racing drivers, with Niro Shishan also playing the devil's advocate in front, holding up Kavin at the same time. So Kavin's both defending and attacking in one go. Kavin Rajapaksa having to do two of the toughest jobs. He has to try and attack a driver who has potentially less pace than him, but he also has to keep behind one of the fastest drivers on the grid at the moment, in the form of Fawzul Alim. What is Kavin going to do?
You just know this is going to end in tears. And
it has!
Very close. And
it has!
There you go.
Oh my goodness.
Very unfortunate for Fawzul Alim. But that looked like a very unforced error there for Fawzul Alim.
It did. It just seemed like he...
contact with Kavin Rajapaksa. Looks like he just lit up the rear tires.
It just seemed like he just misjudged.
Who's that?
And that's Denanabe Sekra in the pits. Does he have damage, or has he made a mandatory pit stop? What is happening to these drivers? They're just dropping like flies. Shane Ryukun finds himself in a podium position.
Yeah, I think we're now coming into the pit, into these pit windows. So Shane Ryukun now, I think a few drivers have made their pit stops. In fact, I think Angelo Sinaratne might have made his pit stop, which would explain why he dropped back a few places.
That would make sense.
Now he's
Was it enough time? Was it enough time for Angelo Sinaratne to come up into the pits and return this high up the field? It's yet to be known.
Savi obviously.
Savi does not want it to stay that way.
Go for the overtake. pit stop
It is
or
not.
no pit stop, he's making Angelo work for this, even if they're
but
out of
it's
position.
wonderful
He's
defense.
not going to let Angelo survive.
It's wonderful defense by
Very,
Angelo.
very good.
The two RHC
Very, very
go-kart
good
racing
driving.
teammates fighting it out, as there is a pit stop up ahead for Nimesh Dean. These are the mandatory pit stops. Nimesh Dean in the pits. Out front.
That's very
Yvonne
interesting.
David has not made a pit stop yet, but the battle between the two RHC drivers continues as Angelo Senaratne holding off Savi Ratnayaka. It is yet to be known if Savi needs to make a pit stop. I don't believe it is mandatory. It is just up to the drivers to decide whether they need that pit stop or not. Albeit Savi
That's correct.
seems to be keeping that pace with Angelo, regardless of his tires and fuels. Has he just been saving his tire life? And as we say it, we have Fawzul Alim right on the back of this battle. We have Fawzul coming up right behind Savi. Will Savi go for a late dive on Angelo? No. Does Fawzul go for a late dive? Once again, no. We have Kavin Rajapaksa making a mistake up front. He joins the battle. It's become a 4-car battle. Does Kavin have damage? I don't believe so.
Kavin is the cork in the bottle. Kavin is
he
the cork in
might-
the bottle here. It's again...
This is for
again,
position
all
though,
four
Sam.
cars are going to close up.
This
It
is for
it
position
it
though.
It's very
Is
much
there
for
contact?
position.
Angelo does not want to go for a move which would cause a spin, but Savi goes for a move. On Angelo, there is contact between Savi and Angelo. There is big contact between the two teammates. Angelo comes back onto the track and makes contact with Denon Abesekara. Denon gets away with it, but that was an uncharacteristic sequence of corners as Kavin
We have
Rajapaksa.
Niroshkin into the pits.
Nirosh-
But he's managed to maintain 4th place. I don't think he has to pit again. Brian Pereira now up to 6th as well, challenging Savi Ratnayaka. Savi immediately coming on the radio to apologize to his teammate with that earlier contact between him and Angelo.
That's good
but
to
now
hear. That's
Brian
good to
is
hear,
gonna have
Sam.
to try and make his way. Yeah, now Brian's trying to make his way around Savi. It's not going to be easy. Savi's not going to make it easy for Brian by any means. But Brian if Brian's car is without damage now, it looks very, very competitive. He looks to be he's all over the back of that car.
Brian Pereira, one of
And
the
we have,
most experienced race-at-home racing
We have
drivers.
Savi coming onto the radio to tell Brian to be careful if you're overtaking, because he has some rear wing damage and he might spin off in the high-speed corners. So
Not what you want to hear. Not at all what you want to hear.
And
But
just as he says that, he locks up.
Savi locks up. Will he hold the inside? No, he does not. And if we look
looks like
further
that.
back, will Denon go down on the inside, Sam? No, he does not. Oh, Savi has made a mistake. Exactly what he warned Brian Pereira about. He has made a mistake, and it looks like
that might have been a bit of contact. That might have been a bit of contact from Denon, but I just don't think Savi had the rear end grip.
I don't know if there was contact. Just listening to the driver's voice.
There was
chats,
definitely a snap. There was definitely a snap of oversteer, and I just think that rear aero, the lack of rear aero, the lack of downforce at the rear just caused him to light up the rear wheels on those two corners. Angelo, I'm not quite sure what happened because he was in 4th earlier, and now
he
he's
did
dropped
have.
down the field
Oh, there is a
massively.
mistake. There is a
Oh,
mistake from
no.
Denon Abesekara. He
No.
has managed to keep it running. He has just lost 1 place, but for all we know. But we ride on board with Yevon pushing it all the way to the limit, even though he's 16 seconds out front. He doesn't need to be pushing this hard, but the racing driver in him going all out, non-stop. Lights to flag, domination once again from Yevon. It's back-to-back weekends of complete domination. Last weekend, it was Brian Pereira winning both sprint races and the feature race. This weekend, it's the Formula 4 driver, Yevon David, who wins the feature race. He makes it 3 out of 3 for the weekend here in Okayama. Yevon David wins in Okayama. He climbs his way up the championship order.